Welcome to Explorer Classroom. My name is Kip Hopman, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. This month, we're celebrating Asian American, Pacific Islander American, and Jewish American Heritage Month. Many of our explorers identify with these heritage groups, and we encourage our viewers to look into the histories and present-day contributions of these incredible individuals in your communities and across the globe. At National Geographic, we know the power of exploration, wonder, and storytelling can change the world. This Explorer Classroom YouTube show connects students around the world with our National Geographic Explorers for short lessons in time for your questions. Today, our explorer is Gretchen Johnson. Gretchen is a biologist who is a PhD candidate at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Her work, though, takes her far away into the South Atlantic Ocean to an island called St. Helena. This island has hidden histories, and Gretchen's work focuses around uncovering these histories. She uses DNA from something found in the ground to help the people of St. Helena and the world learn about the stories of those who were brought to St. Helena long ago. Gretchen is going to tell us all about her work and the people of this incredible island. Before we get into today's lesson, let's welcome our viewers who registered in advance and join us today from around the globe. Our shout outs for today's episode go to Stuart M. Townsend Elementary School, Afrikaanse Hoër Sun School, St. Benedict CES, Planet English School, Cool School, PS 274 Kosciuszko, Skyview Middle School, Escuela del Deporte, the Nelson Sella family, World Academy Total Community Health High School, Heron Bridge College, the Riddick family, and to all of our homeschools out there. We are thrilled to have you all here. And with that, let's get this Explorer Classroom started. It's time to turn it over to Gretchen to tell us all about hidden histories. Gretchen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kip, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. And I'm so excited to share about the hidden histories that I've uncovered on St. Helena Island. So let me go ahead and share my slides. All right, so today I am going to share about a unique population. They're called the liberated Africans of St. Helena Island. And so today I'm going to take you on a journey with me to St. Helena Island, and I'm going to kind of share with you the historical significance of this population. This population is a forgotten population of the transatlantic slave trade. And so what you're going to see today is kind of how did this population get to St. Helena Island, and what exactly does my research entail? So let's get started. So St. Helena is considered one of the world's most remote islands. When you look at this map here, it's highlighted in red. St. Helena Island is located in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, and many people around the world have no idea that this island even exists. It literally, like if you go on Google, you literally have to zoom in there to kind of see this island. But it exists. And today I'm going to take you on this journey with me as we travel to this island. So currently I'm in Washington, D.C. And so I've kind of tried to indicate up here, it's all the way up here. This is the United States of America. I've like kind of circled Florida, but just imagine that I'm all the way up there in Washington, D.C. and I'm going to travel down to St. Helena Island. So I will say this, in order to get to St. Helena Island, for many, many years, individuals had to travel to South Africa and then hop on a ship that was called the British Royal Navy ship and be on a voyage for about 2 weeks to get to St. Helena Island. But within the last recent years, St. Helena has now an official airport. So now you're able to hop on a flight and travel to this particular island. So that's where we're going to go today. All right, so here I am in the US. I'm in Washington, D.C. I just loaded onto my first flight, And I have my book bag, I have my suitcase filled with all my research tools. And here I'm on this first flight that I'm heading over, leaving, saying goodbye to the US. And now I'm en route to South Africa. So over here, I've shown the map and I've highlighted in a circle that I'm heading to Cape Town, South Africa. So when I arrived in South Africa, I traveled down to the most southwestern point on the African continent. And you see that red dot displayed on the map there. And I have my hands up. And so I did get some help with my luggage while I was traveling. And so you can see it like that, right? How cool is that? So this friendly man was able to help me with all my heavy luggage, and I was able to move a little bit faster. So sometimes when individuals or passengers are traveling to St. Helena Island, it might not be safe to leave immediately to fly over to St. Helena Island, because St. Helena is in the middle of a huge body of water, and it's very, very windy on this island. So oftentimes, because of the wind and the wind shears on the island, sometimes it's not safe for the plane to land. So in those situations, passengers often have to stay longer in South Africa. And so that's why I was in South Africa for a certain amount of time. And then finally, I'm going to try and flip to the next slide. And then finally, I got the clearance to travel to St. Helena Island. So here I am. Next stop, St. Helena. En route, excited to head to St. Helena Island. And you can kind of see me loading the flight here. And finally, I arrived on St. Helena Island. So I want you to listen carefully at these video clips and look at the landscape that you see as the plane is coming in. Welcome to the beautiful and friendly Amazing. Do you guys see the rocky nature? I'm going to talk about that in a second. You're welcome. Okay. I'm getting off the plane now to get a feel of the atmosphere. We just arrived at St. Helena Airport. Here I am out on the island. Everyone's glued to the glass, seeing who just came off the plane today. All right, so let's continue on this journey. So now I'm finally on St. Helena. One second. So when I arrived on the island, what I noticed or saw was this amazing, this is the island. It's like no island you have ever seen before. To me, looking at this from the window of my airplane, I was like, wow, this looked like a massive rock in the middle of the ocean. And so St. Helena has volcanic origins, and it has black sandy beaches. In fact, I have some examples I want to show you of some of the volcanic rocks. I wish I could give this to you. Let me try and, you see that? So there are a few, but this is from one of the black sandy beaches on St. Helena Island. That's just to give you a nature of some of the diversity on St. Helena Island. But what's interesting is when you start exploring around on the island, it has amazing, luscious green landscape. The biodiversity is unique. There are endemic plants and species on this island. And then check out this photo here where I'm nestled in between these hills and dipping valleys. And I'm there with my hands up. I was like, can you find me? It's a good thing I had a white t-shirt on. You can kind of see me nestled between all of the landscape and rolling hills. And so that's a unique aspect of St. Helena. So St. Helena, there's a capital of St. Helena is called Jamestown, and this is what I'm showing you in this quick video clip here. Jamestown is located in a deep valley on this island. And so you'll see in a second, you see how the city is built up and it goes along through this valley. So this island is a British overseas territory. There are approximately 4,500 individuals that currently live on St. Helena Island. And because it's a British overseas territory, I want you to see also something I have here. So this is the currency on St. Helena Island. It is 10 British pounds, but you see the Queen on the picture on this money that I have, but it's colorful money. It's very, very cool. I have another one. So yeah, so that's kind of just to give you a feel of like the city part of St. Helena Island. But St. Helena, in its uniqueness and its physical characteristics, it's unique in that there is also this hidden history that exists on this island that many people have no idea about this population. So this is a picture of the liberated Africans of St. Helena Island from the 1900s. So over 26,000 individuals of this population arrived on St. Helena Island during the mid-19th century. And so I traveled to St. Helena Island to investigate this population and kind of figure out why they came to St. Helena Island, where did they come from in terms of their homelands in Africa, and what are their genetic identities and their diversity. So I'm going to zoom back we're going to take a journey back into history to kind of figure out how did this population arrive on St. Helena in the first place. So during the transatlantic slave trade, what was happening is millions of Africans were being picked up from the coastline all along the coast of Africa, and they were placed on slave ships that were en route to the Americas and the Caribbean islands. And so I've indicated in here the approximate location of St. Helena Island, which is the yellow circle that you see on the screen. And so what was happening is because St. Helena Island is a British overseas territory, the British Royal Navy was capturing slave ships that were en route to the Americas and brought these slave ships to St. Helena Island. When these slave ships arrived on St. Helena Island, the liberated African population essentially became liberated. They were enslaved first, but then as soon as they arrived on the island, they were placed in refugee camps, as you see in the middle picture here. And then they technically were liberated. So when I say liberated, they received a type of freedom. However, that's still in question right now, because even though they arrived on the island, when the island became overpopulated, the British government sent 18,000 of these individuals onto the British Caribbean colonies that are Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, and many other islands. So that population left off, and that's still unknown as to what happened to these individuals when they arrived in the Caribbean and also eventually migrated into the southern parts of America or into South America. So that's still a mystery right now. And then there was also a population of liberated Africans that remained on St. Helena Island. Those that remained on the island became indentured servants. So over many years passed, and some of them died on the island as a result, just as the years went on. And so all of that happened during the mid-19th century. And now I'm going to zoom ahead to the years 2006 to 2008. So around that time frame, St. Helena Island wanted to create their first ever airport. In the process of building an access road to this airport, they began digging into the ground and finding a lot of the bones of these individuals of this population. So the British government called in a archaeological team, and this archaeological team estimated that there's a slave burial ground of over 8,000 individuals of the liberated African population in an area on the island that's called Rupert's Valley. So I show a picture of the valley right here. And then these are a few pictures of some of the remains of these individuals that were found on St. Helena Island. Some of these pictures are really, really striking, as you kind of see, and even in this picture at the bottom here, there's a kind of like a baby next to an adult. And I've also included a quote from one of the archaeologists here in terms of his experience analyzing these samples. So the archaeological excavation led to my particular research, in which I basically traveled to St. Helena Island. I spent 6 months on this island investigating this particular population. I collected bone samples from this population in order to kind of piece together and figure out the genetic identities of these individuals, because right now they're unknown in terms of the clear details as where they came from in Africa and their diverse genetic identities. So the archaeological team at that time excavated 325 individuals, and they're currently stored in a storage location behind this door that you see all these flowers and candles. And sometimes people memorialize the individuals by placing different items in front of the door. And so when I traveled to St. Helena Island, to collect samples from this population, I had a sequence of events that I went through every day. So number one, in picture number one here, this is the storage location, which is also called the pipe store on the island. And so this is behind this door, there are many boxes, and in each of these boxes houses the skeletal remains of each of these individuals. So every day I would visit the storage location, pick up the boxes of each of these individuals, place the boxes in picture 2 on a trolley, and push this trolley down a busy road. And so I was pushing these boxes to my laboratory space, which is located in the museum in picture number 3 here. So when I arrived in my lab in the museum, in picture 4, you see some of the boxes that are stacked on top of the table here. And so I would examine these bones, the bones of the individuals of the liberated African population in this laboratory space in the museum. So in picture 5, I'm waving hi to any visitors that might be coming by. But what I'm doing, and then I also had a chance to visit the archives and dig through the archives, that's also below the number 5 in this picture, dig through the archives to match the historical facts with the science that I was doing. So when I was collecting bones from these particular individuals, I wasn't just collecting any bones. There's specific bones that are ideal to collect from in order to get the maximum amount of DNA yield. And so DNA is just your entire genetic makeup. And so the specific type of bone that I was collecting is called the petrous bone. And so I have a slide where I'm going to discuss what that is. So the petrous bone essentially is considered one of the densest bones in your entire body. Many people don't know that either. So within the recent years, this bone has been identified as ideal to extract DNA from this. And so the DNA that I'm extracting is called ancient DNA. Ancient DNA is DNA that has been extracted from individuals that died centuries and centuries ago. And so that is where and ancient DNA research is a relatively new field within the last recent years. But the ideal bone to collect from is called the petrous bone. So this, I have a few pictures of the anatomy so you can kind of check out what this actually looks like. So the petrous bone is basically in a region it occupies a region of the temporal bone, and I can kind of point out where that is. That's in orange here. So the petrous bone essentially occupies a region of the temporal bone. If we zoom in on this picture, it houses your internal ear organs that help you in hearing and in balance. But if you think of the petrous bone, it's like a hard shell. It looks like a rocky hard shell, but inside it's amazing in that it has because it looks like it's a hard shell, we're able to get cells and the DNA specifically from the petrous bone as it houses, it's good at preserving DNA in that way. And so you can see a sampled petrous bone here, and then eventually that will be turned into smaller bone fragments that will be analyzed in the lab, and that's the ancient DNA analysis part. So that's kind of how that's done. And usually in the ancient DNA lab, I have on all the protective gear in order to prevent me contaminating my sample that I'm working with. And so why is this important? This is important because preserving and understanding the genetic identities of the liberated Africans that were found on St. Helena Island helps the current population on the island to understand their own history. So I'm helping them to understand the roots of the liberated African population and the genetic identities of that, so that the St. Helenians, which you see in the diverse St. Helenians, which are displayed in the slide right here, they can understand that history and kind of work with the information that they'll learn from the scientific investigation that I am doing. And so these are some of the individuals I worked with on St. Helena Island over 6 months. And so I do have a few video clips so you can kind of hear from some of these individuals. And so here's one individual. You repeat that, sorry.
Like on St. Helena, our culture is way mixed. Like from, if you take a mother and a father and have two girls, like one girl could have straight hair, one girl could have curly hair. One of the sisters is like a little bit darker, one of the sisters is like quite fair.
Yes.
You know, yes. I think definitely with our mixed culture and our mixed races, like it definitely shows, our people, no St. Helenian looks the same. Everybody got a very distinctive look about them.
Oh, wow.
Even sometimes the language that they use, or you could, like in St. Helena, you could tell who was from Longwood or who was from Sandy Bay because of the way that they dress. Like out in Levelwood, they use the language. They say, "How you doing, Lobby?"
So that just gives you a clip as to kind of hearing the voices of some individuals that currently live on St. Helena Island and the diversity present within the current population. And they're very talented and love music. So I'm giving you a feel of, even you can kind of see with the drumming, some of the African roots that are present on St. Helena Island. And this is also present in step dancing. So that shows you another example. So there's a few other clips that I have to show you that I'll come back to, but I'm going to zoom ahead to this one because this one is a particular clip that shows one of the activities while I was on St. Helena Island. I had the opportunity to create some interdisciplinary research opportunities for the school system on St. Helena Island. This was one of the educational outreaches in which I, along with other organizations on the island, community organizations on the island, we simulated a archaeological excavation, which was similar to the 2008 excavation of the liberated African population. And so students had a chance to work through that, and also an additional fun CSI case. So take a look at this.
Did you see? I read it. You like, gentle. It's not just a bottle. What is it? It's just like, there's something in the end there. Maybe you can take pictures of it. So it's potential DNA that you can find. So you're learning about it, but we just finished. Dance, you know. Drug to the inside, sunlight, sunshine, yeah. What happened if you say you
So that can kind of give you a feel. We had a lot of fun, and that was just more pictures from working with some of the students who are just similar to you and similar to your age group, who are working through these different research opportunities. And so I'll come back to some of these videos. And so I'm going to pause for now, and then I'm going to move ahead to kind of so that we could get to kind of the question and answer session. But I will say that based on the research that I'm currently conducting right now, I'm basically preserving the history and unlocking the genetic identities of this unique mid-19th century liberated African population. And that has been essentially forgotten from the transatlantic slave trade in order to give a voice to this population that many people really don't know about. And they're essentially like a forgotten population of the transatlantic slave trade. So I'll pause there for questions and answers.
Wow, paradise, my friend. You have inspired me. I want to travel to St. Helena.
Yes, awesome.
But okay, so we have time for one last question, which is kind of a call to action for our audience. How can we take on your mission and find hidden histories?
Oh, awesome. So I would say be always curious. And I would say to share what you have learned today, because people on the island want their stories to get out, because they realize the island is very, very remote and has been isolated. It's there in the South Atlantic Ocean. But as I mentioned before, not many people know this island exists or even the rich history present. And they're looking for individuals to come and visit the island and take in the rich history that's there. So I would say you could share what I have taught you today. And even in your normal daily lives, be curious about the things that you kind of see, even in things that you might not necessarily pay close attention to. Always ask questions. Even if it's like I showed you today, some of the endemic or indigenous plants, be curious about, even in your backyard, there might be some plants or different things that you might want to investigate and learn more about. It always brings a type of inspiration to kind of take something that you might see every day, or you might pass as you're traveling, or might walk, or if you're riding your bike, something typical you might see that you might want to think to yourself and question, well, why is this the way it is? Because that kind of generated my curiosity in science in general, and understanding why is something the way it is? Why could this, let me explore this a little further. And that led me to many different questions and many different areas to me just turning into a scientist and like exploring and doing all this stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of what I would say.
You heard it, friends. Be curious, ask questions, and keep exploring. Thank you to Gretchen, and thank you to all the students and teachers out there. We have a few announcements before we let you all go. We are nearing the end of our school year here at Explore Classroom, with only a few episodes left. And you won't want to miss out on what we have in store before school is out. Next week, we'll be joined by explorer Aaliyah Pierce, who will share all about the importance of oral storytelling and her work on the Into the Depths podcast. The following week, we'll have a special finale event live from Explorers Festival at the National Geographic headquarters in DC. Tune in to see which explorers join us in conversation. You can register your student group for a shout out during the event and a chance to be on screen at natgeoed.org/Explorer Classroom. Have a great day, everyone. Stay curious, keep exploring, and no matter where you are, raise your hands